Hello and welcome to the Beyond E-commerce podcast. We help you find and fund your purpose through reselling on Walmart and Amazon. There's a new blog every Tuesday and a new podcast every Thursday. You can follow, find, rate, and review wherever you get audio. Hosted by Netta Dowdle.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Beyond E-commerce, where we help find and fund your passion through Amazon. And we do so by analyzing other businesses and brands that have done so successfully. So today we have with us Mino. How are you today, Mino?
I'm doing amazing. I can't complain.
Yes, absolutely love that you've come and joined us today. Love your brand. And one of the first questions that I thought of when I saw your brand is, what exactly are you trying to portray through your t-shirts? What do you want the people to get from it?
For sure. So, like she said, my name is Mino. I have the Crew Fit brand, which you see on this table here. And to answer your question, every letter in Crew stands for something. So we can be able to start there. So in the word Crew, it stands for can't right every wrong. Can't right every wrong. So what we tell people is, you don't have to apologize for being yourself. You just find people like you and you make your own little crew. So with that being said, this is one of the shirts that I actually have on right now, and it says Crew, Love, and Peace. So every one of our shirts, essentially what we're trying to do is create fashion with a meaning. Okay. So with the Love and Peace, essentially what I'm trying to do is unite our culture. Unite our culture by spreading love and peace. But with us doing that, it's going to influence other people to do the same thing. So we're creating a community of like-minded individuals who all believe in the same morals, values, and...
Okay, so this development of peace or unity implies that there is like a lack thereof peace or unity. Are you saying the community you were raised in didn't really align to what you felt like it should be? Or what do you hope to see what peace looks like? That could be controversial.
Yeah, for sure. To me, I would say overall, just because the things that we hear in music nowadays, the things that you're watching on TV, the things that you see in everyday life, it may be different some places, but I've lived in Atlanta my whole life. And to be quite honest, I don't know if you guys notice the same thing, but there's not nobody in Atlanta that walks around without a gun.
Ooh,
and the crime
we gonna get right to it.
And the crime rate in Atlanta is really bad right now. So it's kind of expected, being that we're such a growing city, but I would like to see, as far as our culture, unite a little bit more. Because you asked me about where I'm from. I grew up in Reading Road, but then I actually moved to Gwinnett County, which is a little bit better side of town. So I tell people all the time, I've seen a little bit of the best of both worlds. I lived in the hood before, and I lived in a better side of town. Different hood, same problems.
Really?
Yeah, for sure. I don't feel like our community is as united as it could be. And I believe that there is a strength in numbers that if we were united, that we could be able to progress way further than where we're at right now.
Okay, that's a good place to start. So we were just telling Mino before we hopped on that we are new here. So we haven't, we've heard about the scammers or what have you that happens here, but we haven't experienced it ourselves just yet. Probably yet, because we've only been here since January. So we really just stay at our place and don't really come out unless we have to.
Well, with you living in, so one of the good things about Atlanta is you can pick and choose to, just as somebody growing up, right? You can pick and choose to be in the streets, because in a city like New York, the entire city is the city.
Right.
Out here, it's majority a suburban area
where
you don't necessarily have to be. Atlanta is a small city, right? But then outside of Atlanta, there's so much more, like the surrounding cities, which the surrounding cities are all majority suburban areas. So you can almost pick and choose to be out there. But let's say somebody who, like me, who was once in the entertainment industry, I have to be outside. I have to be at these local events. I have to be at some of these popular gatherings. And that's why it actually allowed me to experience some of these problems that's going on, which made me want to be able to implement these changes in society.
Okay. So you're in the mix is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're in the mix. Okay. Give us a scammer story. Do you have a scammer story or something that was just, wow, I can't believe I
mean, a scammer story? I can't really tell you too many scammer stories. I mean, there's different people who do different things to get money. And that's not essentially the thing that I'm mad at, right?
Right.
I'm not mad at anybody who tries to get money. I just feel like there has to be a code of ethics to it, right? So I can't really give you a scammer story. Does it happen in Atlanta? I mean, I believe it happens everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were out last night, and how does this entertainment or going to these things, how does that bring about unity or highlight your brand? What do you hoping people get out of that?
Oh yeah, for sure. So I mean, I can speak on my life. When I was growing up, I wasn't really afforded the luxury to do a lot of things because my mom, she actually worked 2 jobs to be able to take care of us so that we can live on the better side of town.
And us, you have other siblings?
Yeah, I got 2 other brothers.
Okay.
One that's about 1 year older than me and another one that's about 9 years of age. So when he actually graduated from Towers High School, which is in Decatur, that's when my mom actually made the decision, like, okay, I can't have you guys go through the same thing he went through. So that's when she ended up moving us to Gwinnett. So in order for us to be able to keep up with the bills and everything, because there was days that we went when the lights were off. There was days that we went and the water was cut off. So in order for us to be able to maintain the bills and everything that was going on, my mom worked 2 jobs, only seeing her about an hour out of every day. And this is me in my childhood days, so we didn't grow up in a traditional household where we would have dinners and things like that. So with that being said, I wasn't able to do a lot of things that the normal average kid would do. I wasn't able to play sports growing up because we couldn't afford it. I wasn't able to go out to the basketball games because I had nobody to take me there. I wasn't able to do a lot of things. So once I actually got to that age of me having friends with cars, then I was able to actually, okay, I'm outside a little bit more. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, okay. So you spreading your wings now.
Yeah, I'm spreading my wings because before all I used to do was just kicking in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And my mom, she really didn't even like me going outside because it was like, yo, if you go out here and you get hurt, I can't afford these hospital bills.
Yep.
If you go out here and you get into some trouble, I can't afford a lawyer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You can't even afford to go outside. I can definitely relate.
We really couldn't, so it was hard. So essentially, once I got to that age where I was able to get some friends who had cars, then I started going out to parties. So going out to parties was the only thing that got me out of this depressive state. Because it was like, okay, I'm finally able to like live a little bit more and do some things because it was like, I didn't really know anything outside of the neighborhood because that's all we was really able to do at that point.
So you were like more so in your head, and this was the first time that you were able to like express yourself.
In my head, I wouldn't really say. I was just now actually being adventurous, seeing different things outside of just the neighborhood. And I actually think that's one of the problems that occurs in the Black community, right? I feel like, I'm trying to think what's the best way to say this. I feel like the reason why, let's say like you have people like how you mentioned scammers, right? The reason why people do things like that to make money is because that's the only way that they know how to make money.
Right.
Or the reason why certain people sell drugs in our community is because that's the only way that they know how to make money. When you actually grow up in these low-income communities, you see that your family is struggling to pay the bills every single day. Yeah, you might have somebody in that household who's working a job, but you see them working. Matter of fact, we all know somebody that's working 80 hours to work a job, but they're barely even making it every month. You know what I mean? But then you see somebody down the street who is the local dope boy, and he's coming out with new cars and the new clothes and everything that's going out. So that's the only thing that you're privy to as far as success.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's the reason why certain people take those routes and avenues, is because that's the only route of success that they're seeing somebody else take. But let's say that, and that's also why a lot of people get into like music, as far as like rapping or taking the athletic route, because those are the only ways of hope for somebody that's in the hood.
Yeah.
But let's say that somebody in that same neighborhood actually came out and they were to become a successful business owner, or they were to become a successful anything. Now you just gave hope to that same community of people to be able to take that route.
I think, and I'm gonna let you take a drink on this one. So I also think another part of that is when people go to college, they get educated. It's this idea that like Plague, Marcus Garvey, and people like that, they end up going to the more suburban areas and they end up taking like resources away. So this is like a question that has always plagued me. How do you give in a way that's not taken away, or you're not sacrificing in order to be a part of that community? So one of the things that we had to figure out was knowing what those scores are or knowing what those schools deal with. Is that something that we want to put our kid in? Or like, how do you navigate being in a place and you see the stuff that people are doing and you want to bring good, but it's kind of overwhelming the amount of bad that may be going on in that neighborhood. Like, how do you serve? How do you still bring light, but not lose yourself or your values in the process?
So if I want to make sure I understand, you say, how does somebody from the outside of the community come in and be able to help these lower income communities?
I mean, you just became outside of it, right? So like, let's say for you, like college educated, you have more of an income now. And then you're going back to the place that your mom took you out of in Decatur. How do you give, but not also like become what everyone else is seeing? Because it's like, am I going to buy a house there? It's like.
So I think the best thing for people to do, right, is your purpose in life is to go back to where you once was at one point and help those people out in that instance. So there are certain people who went through a really bad divorce in their life. I wouldn't say that your purpose is to go to the hood and just preach to the hood as a Martin Luther King. Your purpose in that life is to help somebody else out who went through a really bad divorce and they don't have the answers. But you may have made it through that particular situation that they're going through, and now you can give them answers because you overcame it.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Or your version of overcoming, because a lot of people feel like you not still being in your marriage is a failure. But that isn't necessarily true. However you overcame or however you found the solution to the issue is how you help others.
Correct. So to answer your question, somebody who previously made it out of being in the hood at one point and now you're in a more fortunate situation, you are already aware of the problems that goes on in that community.
Right.
So your next thing to do is to solve those problems. And one of the things where we mess up at is we try to go in and help everybody all at one time.
It's overwhelming. That's what I'm saying.
It gets
like
overwhelming.
You feel like you're the only light in all the darkness.
Exactly. And that's where we always mess up at, is because we try to help everybody at one time. And I use the analogy like you're trying to help somebody, you're drowning yourself trying to help somebody else from drowning.
Right.
So try to help at least one person. Start with one person, right? And once you're able to help that one person get out of that situation, now that one person can help somebody else.
Right.
And then it becomes a multiplication effect where now that one person helps somebody and you go help somebody, and now
and it may
so
be
on.
generational. You know,
Exactly.
Sometimes we like things to be microwaved and for it to happen like automatically.
Right.
But sometimes those seeds have to burrow in and sprout whenever they sprout. So I think I deal with this expectation of people being a certain way once you give to them, like, hey, I gave you, money. You should have it figured out by now, right? Like all these things, but you have to realize that there's layers to the trauma that people deal with, and you can't add or don't go into that place adding another layer of expectation.
Nah, never. And I also think you should never give and expect something in return. Like if you're going to give to save the relationship, don't expect anything in return. If I give somebody money, it happened to me before. You give somebody money, they never end up paying you back, even though they promise. I got you on Friday, bro. You know what I mean?
Every time I think about giving money, I think of Judge Joe Brown. I'm not gonna lie. He always like, if they say they're gonna give it back to you when income tax roll around, you ain't never getting that money back.
So even if they do tell me that, like I would rather say no to giving somebody money to save the relationship if it's something that I need back. So I will only give what I'm able to give out, and I just wouldn't expect nothing back. I'll just be like, you know what, don't even worry about it.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I also do, we were talking about ways that we went back and help our community, right? So every single year for the past 7 years, I've been doing a back to school drive on Glenwood Road. We do it with 21 Savage every single year. And what we do is we help out over 1,000 families. We give back school supplies, book bags, school uniforms. We bring out entertainment trucks for the kids. We bring out 21 Savage so that the kids can be able to have a good time. Shout out Mama Flystyle because she also helps out with the event a lot. And the reason why I do that is because when I was growing up and we were living in Decatur, we were living 7 people in a 3-bedroom house. We didn't have it so much that every single year I remember it's 5 pants, 5 shirts. That's all we had to wear to school. 5 pants, 5 shirts. That's all we had, and that's all we could be able to get. That's actually what made me start my clothing line. It's because I could never. When we end up moving to Gwinnett, so when you live in DeKalb, everybody wears school uniform. And part of the reason why they tell people to wear school uniform is because you can never tell what somebody's economic status is.
Right.
So now when we move to Gwinnett,
and gang affiliation.
for sure, that too, because that's a real big problem. Now we move to Gwinnett where everybody's able to dress up however they want to. I'm seeing all these people in Jordans and the new designer.
Man, that's what people don't realize about like socioeconomic situations. Once you're able to get like a little bit of money, and people are like, oh, why are black people so flashy, or why black people so this or that, so that. But it's like once you get to that point and you're able to express yourself in so many different ways, it's like I've been caged in for so long. The only way I've been able to express myself is when I'm at home alone. And unfortunately, that's something that we grow up with as adults. Like, we don't share a gift, no matter how small it is, with anybody else, because it's like the only time I've really been able to express myself is when I'm by myself.
Exactly.
Therefore, I don't have anything else to give to anyone else. And I think that is also a part of the breakdown in our community. It's like, why y'all hoarding everything? Like, none of this stuff can you take with you, but you feel so much more valuable, or you feel like I have a leg up on somebody because I know something that they don't know. When you're like, you're actually the one that's losing. So with that line of thought, I'm wondering, with this, you go by Mino, is this a personality that you have to turn on or turn off? Or would you say Mino is me all day, every day?
I'm so glad you asked that. Wow. So Mino is actually short. It's short for Demino. So when I used to do music, growing up, my real name is Will Matai, right? But there was a certain point in my life where I just had an epiphany. I was like, yo, I cannot keep living like this. I'm gonna recreate myself. I'm gonna redo everything. Because I feel like the way how your parents named you, that was their imagination of you. But at some point, that everybody goes through this, you're gonna eventually end up finding yourself. So once I quit basketball, I used to play basketball back in the day, and once I just really found
talking about back in the day, like
you're
not old. Okay, back in the day, go on.
I ended up finding myself, so I was like, I'm gonna recreate this person. If I can get people to start calling me this, then I know that I've actually done something great. This is when I started my music career, and actually the clothing and everything. So my name is Demino Savage. Demino Savage. It actually comes from having a savage demeanor. And I was in Spanish time at the time where anything in a male version ends with an O. And a lot of stuff that they say, I believe is kind of backwards. I don't know. I kind of paid attention in school. Kind of not really. But I
get where you're going. Conjugations, I get you.
For sure. So it was so Demino Savage stands for having a savage demeanor. And eventually I grew to the point, I was like, if I can get enough people to call me this and start calling me this, because if everybody knows you as this one thing, you know how it is. I'm never calling you that. So now I got those same people that knew me for this at one point to start calling me Demino. And I knew if I get them to start calling me that, then I was able to recreate myself effectively to where, all right, now these people know me as that.
Yeah. That's really interesting because a lot of people get caught up in what other people know them as or their childhood people. Like, I deal with that so much when I go back home. So originally I'm from Oklahoma. And I go home and my cousins are all like, oh, Netta was this, because I was just a tomboy.
Yeah.
I was a tomboy and I fought all the time.
Oh wow!
But
I would
that
never
was
guess that.
yeah, that was a way of me like expressing myself and seeking validity from my cousins, because my cousins were gang members.
Yeah.
And I remember like yesterday, we would just be sitting on the stoop or whatever and have nothing to do. And he would just be like, go and just go fight that girl. And I would just go and fight that girl. And it would just be like, oh my gosh, how do I get out of this with my family perceiving me a certain way? So do you still deal with that even with your, your kiosks, they come show you love, or do you still deal with fighting that person behind you?
I mean, I oftentimes fight my past, like still to this day. I think it's a battle that everybody goes through, and I'm a work in progress in it, but it's a true 100% fact that you have to change your environment. Your environment is going to change you. For so long, I tried to, I believed in never leaving your brother behind. So what I tried to do, and I tried this for so long, and I believe that it actually hindered me in my progress of, I always tried to still kick it with the same people that I used to kick it with, but still take on my new journey, hoping that they will see what I'm doing and eventually follow
you
along.
Yeah.
It doesn't always work out like that.
Yeah, it almost never works out like that.
Yeah.
Like you hear about rappers and all that, athletes and stuff like that, trying to bring their people with them.
And oftentimes, because due to the fact that they're still stuck in the same mindset, they can almost mess you up in the process. So I don't have all the answers yet as to how to be able to go back and help people from your past. But I do think that you need to change your environment is the first step. Actually become successful in whatever your version of that is, and make the money. Because once you make the money and you're able to change somebody's life financially, that's when you're able to really impact somebody's lives. But when you're trying to help somebody out by, I guess, just words of encouragement, I don't really think that too much helps, because they still feel like they're still stuck in that situation. So that's one of the things that I'm working on right now. So I actually just recently changed my environment. I actually just unfollowed a lot of people on my page, and
Oh no, that's big. I think I also went through one of those transitions where it's just like, this is feeding me so much junk. Like, am I getting anything from this girl always having this super nice purse or going wherever? Like, what exactly are you giving to me?
Yeah.
But in changing your environment, I'm wondering, in building your brand, did you foresee having this kiosk and building from there? How did the kiosk come about?
It's a funny story. So I started, I remember I was telling you, I started a clothing line because I really couldn't afford none of the designer clothes that everybody else in school was wearing. So what I said was, I was gonna start my own clothing brand and put my own value on it, because nobody can put a value on something you created except for you. So I started my own clothing brand, and I started using that to wear to school. And everybody, when I wore to school, everybody kept asking like, yo, where did you get that made from? What is that?
Wow.
What is that?
Yeah.
So that's how I knew I had something. But the guy that was actually printing my clothing, he actually still works at the mall. I used to go to it was a kiosk in the mall that's still there to this day. Who I used to go and I'd be like, hey man, I got this design now, I want to be able to get printed. And I told him exactly what I wanted, and that's when he made this logo right here. This was about 10 years ago. So
Wow.
I kept coming to him every single day because people in school were asking me for the shirts and they wanted it, so I would come and get it printed. And he was telling me, he was like, yo, eventually one day, your brand is gonna get so big that you're not even gonna come to me no more. You're gonna start going to some of these like big manufacturers and start getting it printed in bulk.
Yeah.
So of course when he told me that in the moment, I really wasn't seeing the kiosk or anything like that. I just thought that he was just saying that. But fast forward 10 years later, I opened up a kiosk in that same mall.
You said 10 as in 10?
10 years later. I started my brand at the age of 15, and right now I'm 25.
Yeah. So you've never like been impacted with MLM or anything? Like you didn't get caught up with Cutco or selling? Like this has been your first business and you've stuck to this business only since then?
For sure. Yeah. So I mean, was there losses in the journey? For sure. Like
Yeah.
I've taken a lot of losses, but I mean, I think resilience is the best thing that you can have in business, right?
Yeah.
So me, I told you I have a savage demeanor, right?
Okay.
Demino savage. I have a savage demeanor. What that essentially means to me is that anything that I want in life, I'm going to get it no matter what.
Yeah.
Like nothing is going to be able to stop me. Even my mom knows this about me. So a lot of people are like, yeah, why you put savage? Do you know what savage means? Yes, I have a savage demeanor. Nothing is going to be able to stop me in whatever I want. So I mean, I've done so many amazing things with this that I never would have imagined in my life.
Like?
So this was actually on Love and Hip Hop on VH1.
Really?
That's actually one of our biggest accomplishments. It's actually been seen on The Shade Room, DJ Academics, Baller Alert, a lot of the popular brands in Atlanta. It actually was worn at Lil Baby's album release party on stage with him while he was on stage with Gunna and some of the other famous celebrities that we know.
Yeah, they support Black businesses and things like
sure.
for real. I love that about them.
And we're in the city of Atlanta, which is essentially just like a Black Hollywood. And the reason why we were able to get that is by unification.
Yeah.
That's the reason why I pushed the unification so much within the crew and with everything that we do, because a lot of other cities are starting to see, and they actually are impressed by how Atlanta sticks together as far as our artists and our community, our entertainment industry. And that's what I mean by there's a strength in numbers. So I keep pushing this message, like we have to unite our culture.
Absolutely.
We have to bring us all together, because let's just imagine if all of us came together on whatever it is, like just an ideology. When we were in the pandemic and we were fighting so hard, we were protesting and we were all unified at this one point.
Yeah.
If we would have stuck with that, with everything else moving forward.
I also dislike that. I dislike that so much.
Let's talk about it.
It's like
Now I'm
people. Now you. It stresses me out how much people want to be unified for a negative thing. It's just like, you know, somebody getting shot or somebody doing this, and it's like we're protesting the government. But I'm like, what are y'all actually desiring to do? Because we've been protesting, we've been marching since the 50s, and I get it. But it's almost like you're trying to prove something to the majority. What are we proving?
So we have been marching since the 50s. Would you say that there has been a change since the 50s and now?
Yeah.
As far as like where we're at in society and how we're viewed? I mean, I'm
not saying that we shouldn't, but what I'm saying is it annoys me that everybody gets unified over negative things. It's just like,
I believe the reason why we're unifying is because there's negative things happening in society.
Yeah.
And
my thing is, there will always be negative things happening in society. There will always be positive things happening in society. But we don't do anything, we don't get anything by amplifying something negative, and then we're overshadowed by that negative thing, and always overshadowed by that negative thing. I'm just like, something else, where is the pivot? That's my thing.
So, I mean, that's essentially the reason why I believe that we were unifying. Because I was out there at the protest, right? And honestly, it was one of the most beautiful things I ever did. I wanted to be there because I just knew that back in the Martin Luther King days, oftentimes you always hear people say, oh, if I was alive back then, I would have did this, and this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I want to be able to tell my kids that once the change, which I believe is coming, once the change actually happens, or the pivot that we're looking for actually happens, I want to be like, hey, I played a part in that. I did this, I did that. So I'm out here in the protest, and it was so beautiful. So I believe at that very particular moment, what we were protesting is we wanted to stop police killing up on us. And that's when you're starting to see, okay, the body cams got installed. You started to see, okay, I don't know why this is just happening, but they just passed the law for stop lynching. So essentially, what I want people to know is it's not going to be an overnight change. We, as a unit, have to come together, and we have to consistently push whatever message that we're trying to get across and whatever goal that we're trying to take in the midst of those protests.
Right.
Different people and different ideologies was occurring all at the same time, that we weren't really sure what the end goal was. We just knew that we wanted to stop whatever was happening at that moment.
Do something about it.
Now, what we need to do is we need to have a concise plan on what we need to accomplish.
Ice Cube came out with some of those points.
He did. And
it was a whole laundry list of items that he wanted to see. But I just, it's something about people getting quiet and just working. I just feel like we get it, but also once you share that information with people outside of y'all that don't really understand, then it can be, like certain parts of it can be emphasized in order to aid somebody else's agenda. So like for me, I would just be like, we're gonna work quietly. Like we're gonna build quietly, we're gonna work quietly, and whatever we desire the outcome to be, like we'll work toward it. But I feel like there will always be evil.
Quiet doesn't normally work though. I haven't seen that work, and from just looking at history, I haven't seen that.
What do you mean? I feel like that is how all secret societies and people that have been uplifting people from nepotism all the way up, that's how they build. That's how they built this institution, is behind closed doors, writing stuff down on paper, making things happen, having the same families with all of the resources in the U.S.
I can't agree with that. What I do think actually moves the needle is money. Wherever you invest your money in is what actually moves the needle, right? So let's talk about a problem that we have right now. I really want to be able to change. And that problem is, let's say anytime like when there has been a negative thing said about us from like one of these popular clothing brands like a Gucci or Louis, or people go into their stores and they feel like they got disrespected, there's a protest that attempts to start. It was like, hey, we need to stop shopping with these big name brands like a Gucci, Louis, and start shopping with black owned businesses, because we need to keep our money in our own community where we're actually respected. But there's a group of us that be like, okay, yeah, we're gonna stop shopping with a Gucci. And then there's another group of us, that don't got nothing to do with me. I'm still gonna shop with us. So they know that no matter what happens, we still have this this love for Gucci, that we're still gonna go there, because you still hear rapped about it in the songs. You still hear it rapped about. You still see it word on TV. And we go in there. We spend so much money. But me having a kiosk, people come and ask, "Oh, how much is your clothes?" And I tell them the price. They're like, "Wait, what?" But there's a DTLR or there's a Jimmy Jazz right across the corner that's charging the same price, and they don't never go in there and ask them for a discount.
That's my point. I'm like, y'all want to be, oh, we're gonna protest this or we're gonna do this. I'm just like, just do the work. Just have events, have people come around. They did the Black Wall Street and things like that. And then with the people growing, then it'll start to make noise. But just being like, oh, you should purchase what I have, just because I'm black, or just because I'm doing this for the community. It's like, you ain't really put it in the work. So it's like, can you compare? And a lot of it is due to the structure and the trauma and things like that. But can you compare any black clothing company to Gucci, really?
Virgil?
I mean, that's like one person, and he works for different people. So like for me, I'm like, if we compare it apples to apples, yeah, we gotta build up somebody. But however Gucci started and they built up, come on now. Well, I'm not talking about in stature, I'm talking about in time.
What do you mean?
What people don't realize is like, we get behind these brands and we're like, it's so short-lived because they deal with so many things, and they also have not sustained. And a lot of that is like due to structure and stuff like that. So if we're talking about brands that we need to support and has been there for a while, sometimes we support brands because they've been there and we understand the structure. We understand that nothing is going to change, and we understand that they've been here for a while. So it's really difficult because we don't have a black
brand that's been here for a while,
that has been there and is like,
so glad you said that,
and equal to Gucci.
Yeah, I mean, so you're leading to my point. You're talking about time, right? So you mentioned also silent protesting, right? And you believe that would be effective. So I believe without us knowing the history, people don't know why that is actually happened. We actually been set back 400 years plus because of all the challenges and stuff that we actually went through, right? So I believe that people don't know this. Like, people don't know half of the history, which would be a whole separate podcast if we actually got into it, of how black, I didn't want to use this word, but how black people actually been set back for so long, right?
Yeah.
I didn't want to make it a race thing, but how black people has actually been set back for so long. So we've been set back. So we are just now actually getting to the point where we're actually having the true freedom to be able to do what we need to be able to do. The Martin Luther King stuff didn't happen too long ago if you really look at the dates. So I honestly believe that that's the reason why, if you're not aware, they're actually trying to hide history from us by taking the history books out of the schools.
Yeah.
Why do you really think they're trying to do that?
Yeah, because we have too much access with social media.
As to what's been really going on, as to the reality of life.
And
so
this is the first time that we've had that type of access to media, to outlets and stuff like that. That's what I'm saying. I understand what Martin Luther King was doing because we didn't have access, therefore his message was amplified. But now there's too many messages going on.
I mean, that's how it's always going to be at the beginning. So, I mean, I feel like people always expect everything to be perfect at the beginning. No, it's never going to be perfect at the beginning. There's From where we were back then to where we are now, we have made an extreme amount of progress in a short amount of time.
No.
So
like I'm not discounting
and I understand that, right? So, so eventually we're going to get to the point. There's plenty of black-owned brands that's going to be able to reach that Gucci level and really surpass it.
Right.
We are the influence. We are the influence. We are the culture. We the one that drive all of this stuff that's actually going on today.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's the reason where they get a lot of their ideas from. And oftentimes you see on social media, now that we actually have that privilege, you see that there's a black-owned brand that's like, hey, so-and-so company just stole my idea, and you wouldn't know this without social media, right? So essentially, I don't think the problem is that of the time, right? The problem is that we don't have the audience just yet to be able to promote.
You don't think we had an audience? I don't think we have the loyalty in our audience just yet, like you were highlighting earlier. Because, like, I understand what you're saying in regards to it, but also I'm thinking about the beginning of, like, this Black Wall Street. We always look back on Wall Street and we're kind of like, oh my gosh, this is something that has happened, something that we should aspire to. But I like the angle that you're taking and saying that people think that this spontaneously combusted. No, there was discord. Like, people didn't agree. Some people went off and did their own thing. But at the end of the day, the Black Wall Street was still built. So I like it.
Yeah. So I mean, eventually, right? Because it's a growing progress, and it's not going to happen overnight. Eventually, we're going to get to the point. As long as we I'm going to keep voicing this opinion. I think a lot of other people should keep voicing it. Like, hey, we need to support black-owned. The reason why we need to is because we need to keep our money within our own communities.
Yeah.
Right? You go to a lot of places and you see, like, you go into, like, the Asian culture. The Asian culture, you notice that they build from within. They hire their own people. They promote their own people. And, I mean, they own, like, a lot of these blocks.
And it's becoming a thing now where you like crowdsource or you put groups together and y'all are like funding these things and pooling your money together. But it's like what you said, they've been doing this for a decade.
They have. And we're actually getting to that point. It's a slow progress, but the faster that we can get together and the faster that we can actually start uniting each other and keeping our money within our own community, we win. Like, literally, we win. And little do people know, that's what everybody's afraid of. Because we already have the influence. We have the creative minds. We have all of this. We pretty much make all of the trending stuff that's going on TikTok. But if you notice, when they put out the top earners of TikTok, they're not trying to pay us. So let's imagine that we had a black-owned TikTok. Imagine what would happen. Everybody would infiltrate towards that because we drive the influence. Imagine if we had the amount of money that we spend on Gucci, Louis, and all that. Imagine if we spent that in the same, like a black fashion brand. we drive the influence. They
Right.
get all of our ideas from us. So it's just like, those are just the little things that we need to do. And as soon as we're able to do that,
Yes,
we win.
yes. I feel that. I feel like we didn't have a whole Black History Month session so
For
far,
sure.
but I love it so much.
Everybody pushes P. I'm pushing ownership.
Oh, okay. Okay, let's flip it. So from kiosk, where's your aspiration from kiosk?
So eventually I'll have a storefront. I honestly want to do so much more, but I'm just learning to take stuff one step at a time. So my biggest goal right now is to be able to get to drive as many people as to shop, even if it's not with me, just to just to buy from Black-owned businesses. But I mean, of course, I do encourage everybody to shop with Crew Fit Clothing. We are the best thing out here. But yeah, so my goal is to just push Black fashion brands to grow, right? So right now this is Crew Fit Clothing, but eventually it's going to evolve into my next company, which is Clothes on Hand. What Clothes on Hand is going to do is going to be able to provide a platform for other Black fashion brand owners to be able to sell in my store, and we're going to be able to expand to like different cities.
Ooh, like a marketplace.
Exactly, like a marketplace.
Yes, yes.
So we'll be able to take it in. So let's say for whatever reason you don't like what I have to offer, we're gonna have so many other Black, other Black-owned fashion brands in our store
Ooh, like
that you can be able to
exclusively
shop.
fashion.
Yeah, so you'll be able to shop with them. So now, essentially, what we're doing is we're circulating the money within our community, and it'll be like a boutique style where it won't just be Crew Fit Clothing. It's going to be Crew Fit Clothing and another Black brand, so you can be able to shop with whoever you want to.
No, that's dope. That is absolutely dope. Let me ask you though, why didn't you do it online?
So the online shop is actually coming.
Well, like, why didn't you start online opposed to starting out like in person?
The reason why is because I just like the human interaction, to be able to get real-time feedback. So before, this was like an exclusive brand. You only can buy it if you knew us or if you, if you were affiliated with us in some point in time. But the demand for it was so high, I was talking to my brothers and I'm just like, hey man, I think it's time that we just let anybody buy it.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of what drives the demand for the brand right now. It was so exclusive that you've seen it everywhere, but you didn't know where to get it from. So I mean, looking back at it, it kind of was a marketing play, but that wasn't really our intention. It was just like we only wanted the people wearing this that represented our true morals and values. And now it's just like we're opening up to the people, and we're opening it up to everybody. So now when you're wearing it, you're wearing fashion with a meaning. You're representing love and peace. You're representing unity. You're representing that you can't right every wrong. And we tell people essentially, don't judge me without hearing my story. This is a safe space for anybody who wants to promote our culture in this community.
Absolutely. No, that is a great, wonderful story. I feel like I've learned so much about you as a person so far. So go ahead, and you said the website is on the way, right?
Well, the website is out right now. You can shop with us at Crew Fit Clothing, CREWFIT, clothing.com. You can be able to shop with us, buy whatever you want. And once again, support Black businesses.
Yes, support Black businesses. Thanks, guys, for tuning in to another episode of Beyond E-Commerce. We will see you guys next time.
That was good.
That was good. That was great. This is always happy to have Black talks.
I am, for sure. We're real passionate about it, so.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's...
How you feel about it?